Hello. We're all very happy to be here tonight. First of all, I'd like to introduce my boys. This is Chucko, and this is Buster, and this is Pete. I'm David Lynch.
David Lynch's passing has struck me deeply. He made a monumental impact in the field of film and TV, while also making noteworthy contributions in other fields like painting. He was one of the greats, no question. Kubrick infamously described Eraserhead as his favorite film and showed it to his crew the night before they started shooting The Shining. The same film impressed Mel Brooks, which got Lynch his directing job on The Elephant Man. His show Twin Peaks was such a phenomenon that SNL and The Simpsons parodied it. He was such an icon, there are references to himself on shows like Family Guy.
I don't understand.
That's the whole point. Now, did you leave a plate of black coffee out for me?
Even a small role as Gus the bartender in the short-lived Cleveland show. He's an American icon with an obsessed following. Many who perhaps want to become the next Lynch. But despite their ardent studying and six-figure debts from film school, no one has really come close to imitating his style successfully. This is an oddity considering his notoriety. He's up there with directors like Scorsese and Tarantino. And while the influence of Scorsese and Tarantino is quite palpable in today's filmmaking scene, there is very little concerning Lynch. Why is that? In most interviews with a filmmaker, one thing comes up quite prominently, and that is influence. It's what other films helped inspire this one, and it has become a big part of film. Talking about your influences, look at most commentary tracks. If it's not a fun anecdote about a specific scene, like it was really cold that day or it took a lot of takes, they're inevitably talking about what films the writer, actor, or director took from for the specific scene. David Lynch didn't really do that. He does watch films, and it does have some influence on him, like with The Wizard of Oz and Wild at Heart, but he isn't a cinephile. He isn't glued to the screen watching movies all day, like other filmmakers tend to do. He never even went into the Criterion closet. He had influences, everyone does, but a lot of it was outside of film, in areas like painting, music, and his own life, which means he has a really unique point of view. Because he isn't imitating his colleagues or predecessors, he's making it with his true vision. Another thing that filmmakers tend to do is explain their films and the meaning of their work. Lynch doesn't do that. He'll talk about the film and the process of making it, but he doesn't explain anything. He lets his work stand for itself, and it has done him wonders. It's not a completely unique trait to Lynch. Other directors like Kubrick didn't like explaining the meaning behind his films either, but Lynch is arguably the poster child for this, especially with interactions like this one.
Or not, Eraserhead is my most spiritual film.
Why elaborate on that?
No, I won't.
Really, all explaining the film's meaning does is make it kind of pointless to watch and drains the film of its magic. Lynch is a paradox, in the sense that he makes very abstract and surreal art, but he's a very nice and normal guy, who dresses in a very standard manner, and loves simple things like coffee and cherry pie. He's a big fan of old-school Americana, like from the 50s, which you see readily in his work, and has a great sense of humor about himself, as seen by his appearances in shows like Family Guy and The Cleveland Show. But he's not afraid to be bold and make something that may not appeal to the mainstream, or not necessarily be logical. He goes by what he knows is best, and it goes well for him. He only works on projects he believes in, and ones he can do his way. He made a mistake when he didn't get Final Cut from Dune, the 1984 version, and he didn't make that mistake again. He's willing to go years without making a film or show if he doesn't fully believe in his idea. He doesn't rush things. His only concern was realizing his vision in the truest way possible. Lynch's films often are quite dark, or have dark elements, but there's almost always some optimism to it, or some sort of joy. Yes, there's bad, but there's also good. And Lynch has often found the beauty in that. David Lynch's passing was truly a tragedy. He wasn't just a filmmaker, he was an artist in every sense of the word. There was always hope that he could make another film, but it never did happen. Maybe it was because of picky studios, which if true, I condemn them, but could also be Lynch's pickiness, as he will wait for a good idea, and he does not rush himself. But despite the last major piece of work, Lynch did being in 2017, 8 years ago with Twin Peaks: The Return, and last feature film from 2006 with Inland Empire, he was a director who was always on the tips of people's tongues and in the backs of their minds. And I don't think that will change anytime soon. There will never be anyone quite like him, a humble, committed artist who was unyielding to his vision, but kind and soft-spoken with love for just about everyone. Someone who believed in the good of humanity and relish simple pleasures like coffee and cherry pie. I will miss him.
These guys aren't just a bunch of goofballs. They know that there's plenty of suffering in the world, and they spent many years with little iron hooks in their backs, but they tell me there's this all-pervading happiness underneath everything, and the more time I spend with them, the more I believe it.